Hey, welcome back to Sunday School. It's good to be back with all of you for another exciting lesson today. We want to thank Ben for doing the acolyting last week, and we want to thank Charlie for being our acolyte this week. We also want to thank Lily and Jolene for doing communion. You all did great jobs. Way to go. Today we continue our series, Ordinary People Change the World. And today we're learning about Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein dares us to dream big. He challenges us to be ourselves. And he calls us to never stop learning. Well, with that, let's head on in to the lighting of our candle. Our scripture for this morning comes from the book of John, the first chapter. It says, "In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God." Now, what is the Logos, you might say? That's a big word. Often, Logos in our Bibles becomes word. But I think it's more than just word. We think of word and we think of the and but and, but it's more than word. It's literally that God force, that God spirit working in the world. So let me try saying this verse again with those words instead. In the beginning was the God force, and the God force was with God, and the God force was God. The God force was with God in the beginning, and everything was made through the God force. And without the force of God, nothing came into being. Now, what came into being through God's force was the life. And the life was the light to all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot extinguish the light. Albert Einstein once said, "Science without religion is lame." Lame means it cannot walk. Religion without science is blind. Blind means it cannot see. Many of the greatest scientists of time have not found that science disproves God, but in fact, the study of science reveals the fingerprints of God, the God force at work around us every day. Kind of like this globe. As I turn the gears, science is kind of like those gears, all those intricate details inside this globe that make it work. And that, in fact, that doesn't disprove God, but that makes God all the more real. Well, with that, let's head on in to Sunday School.
Here's this week's quiz. Anne Frank and her family hid for more than 2 years in an attic in what city? Was it A, Amsterdam, B, Berlin, or C, Paris? Announce your answer. The correct answer is A, Amsterdam. After World War II, Anne Frank became famous for her A, handmade scarves, B, diary, C, songs. Your answer? The correct answer is B, diary. Anne Frank named her diary A, Benny, B, Jules, C, Kitty. Your answer? The correct answer is C, Kitty. Thanks for taking the quiz. I am Albert Einstein. Ever been called weird or different? That's what they thought I was. On the day I was born, my mom was actually scared since she'd never seen a baby with a giant head. It didn't get easier. I did things on my own way, in my own time. I didn't speak until I was 3 years old, and when I did, my speech was so odd, our maid used to call me the dopey one. Some say I took longer to speak because I didn't think in words. I thought in pictures. Even when I did speak, I'd practice each sentence in my head, silently moving my lips and whispering to myself until I had every word right. When I was little, my cousins ran around and played games outside, but I liked playing alone. I did puzzles, fed the pigeons, or just watched my toy boat sail in a water pail. When they saw me, other people called me Father Boar, goody goody. But the biggest moment in my young life came when I was 4 or 5 years old and sick in bed. To cheer me up, my father brought me a compass. I was fascinated by how the compass worked. No matter which way my father turned it, its needle always pointed north. Nothing touched the needle, but somehow the compass knew where to point. Like it was guided by an invisible force. Right there, I could feel it. There was something behind things, something deeply hidden. The world, the stars, even outer space with all its planets, the whole universe had its own order. That compass made a deep and lasting impression on me. It showed me that life has mystery. The universe has mystery, and it made me curious why did the universe behave the way it did? By the time I was 9 years old, I would make complex structures with my blocks and tall houses of cards. It took persistence and patience, but I never gave up. My sister would watch as I'd build them 14 stories high. I even see the structure in music as I played my favorite instrument, the one that always helped me think, the violin. And by the way, I was a big fan of Mozart. Today, people say I was a genius, but back then, teachers thought I was a daydreamer. One even told me, Albert Einstein, you'll never amount to anything. You're a foolish dreamer. But there's nothing foolish about dreaming big and being curious. When I was in 6th grade, on Thursday nights, a medical student would come to our house for dinner. His name was Max Talmud. He used to bring me books. Well, Albert, here's one about something called geometry. Like the compass, that geometry book changed my life. By the time I was 12, I was doing all different kinds of math and geometry and algebra. By 15, I was onto something called calculus. Soon after, I mastered the entire math curriculum. My thinking and curious nature eventually led me to the patent office in Bern, Switzerland. My job was to examine new inventions, but sometimes I'd start thinking about my own scientific theories. Whenever my boss walked by, I'd hide my ideas in the desk drawer. But even I didn't know I was on the verge of my greatest breakthrough. I was 28 years old, just sitting at work as a thought occurred to me. When a person falls like a man falling off a roof, he doesn't feel his own weight. Close your eyes. You can picture it too. As the man falls, if he opens his pockets, everything inside floats there next to him. That may sound weird or different, but for me, it was the happiest thought of my life. Why? Because it sparked an idea that helped me link motion with gravity. Gravity is the force in the universe that keeps us from floating away. It took me 8 years of hard work, 8 years of asking hard questions to figure it out, but I did. From there, I began to question ideas that most other scientists thought were true. I didn't agree with what most people believed. In the beginning, other scientists wouldn't listen. Are you crazy? That makes no sense. What does he even mean? It's a formula to explain to us the universe and all of space. It means that everything is full of energy. Sometimes it's hard to get people to go along with you, especially when you discover something new. But I promise you, if you keep at it, it will be worth it. What did you win? The Nobel Prize in Physics. That's amazing. My theory of relativity forever changed how we understand the universe. Never stop asking why. Never stop trying to figure out how the world works. And never lose that feeling of excitement as you try to find the answer. Curiosity is one of the most powerful forces of nature. It can take you places no one's ever been and let you do things no one's ever done. Will that make you weird or different? Who cares if it does? Every single one of us is different. No one on this planet is just like you. Being different is what makes you special. So find what you love, learn everything you can about it, and share the best parts with anyone who will listen. You never know who you'll inspire. I am Albert Einstein. I will never stop being curious, and I hope you won't either. The more questions you ask, the more answers you'll find, and the more beauty you'll uncover in the universe.
Jesus gathered his disciples, took the bread, broke it, and said, "This is my body broken for you." Jesus took the juice, poured it, and said, "This is my blood poured out for many. Drink, eat, and remember me." Bye!
Today's story about Albert Einstein reminds us of the importance of being curious and thinking. He kept asking the question, why, and spent time just thinking about life and its mysteries and how things work in the universe. Einstein was different from other people, and that made him special. No one on this planet is just like you, so be yourself, dream big, be curious, be a lifelong learner. Have a good week. See you next Sunday.